Let's talk about arms. Specifically, the belief that a sleeveless dress is off limits the moment your arms stop looking the way they did at 30. You've heard it. Maybe you've said it to yourself in a fitting room, holding a dress you loved, and then quietly putting it back on the rack. Here's what almost nobody tells you, and it's the thing this whole video hinges on. The problem was never your arms, it was the dress, the armhole, the strap, the fabric, the way it caught the light at the wrong angle. Change those, and the same arms read completely differently. That's not a pep talk, that's how fabric and proportion actually behave, and I'm going to show you exactly how. Welcome to the Style Dossier, where we open the file, examine the evidence, and close the case on the style questions that keep good clothes hanging unworn in your closet. If you're new here, and if the phrase clothes hanging unworn just made you wince a little, do yourself a favor and hit subscribe. This channel exists for the woman who has taste, has money to spend, and is tired of being told to just cover up. Now let's get into the case. First file. The problem piece is the classic spaghetti strap sundress. Thin little straps, the kind that look effortless on a mannequin and then, on a real shoulder, start to slide, start to dig, and pull every ounce of visual weight straight to the upper arm. Here's the mechanic nobody explains. A narrow strap creates a sharp visual line, and the eye follows sharp lines. So the thinner the strap, the more it points, like an arrow, right at the exact place you wanted the eye to skip past. It's not doing you any favors. The swap is almost embarrassingly simple. A wider strap, 2 inches, 3 inches, something with actual presence across the shoulder. Style guides written specifically for women over 60 recommend this again and again, and not for vanity reasons. A wider strap gives more coverage at the shoulder and armhole. It sits securely instead of slipping, and it lets you wear proper support underneath without a single gap. The shoulder reads as finished, structured, intentional, and here's the quiet magic of it. When the top of the dress looks deliberate, the arm below it stops being the headline and becomes part of the sentence. Same body, different frame, case closed on file 1. Second file, and this one is the piece I see cause more heartbreak than any other. The problem piece is the low, scooped, gaping armhole. You know the one. It looks fine standing still, and then you reach for something, you lift your arm and suddenly the whole side of the dress yawns open. Fabric bunches, everything shifts. And every time it gaps, it draws a big circle of attention around exactly the zone you were hoping to keep quiet. The swap here is the higher, cleaner armhole, and this is worth being picky about. Fit guidance on sleeveless garments is blunt about it. The armhole should sit as high as it comfortably can without restricting your movement, and the lowest point should land just below where a ruler would touch you at the underarm. That's not a suggestion pulled from thin air, that's construction. A tailored closer armhole means no gaping when you move, no surprise reveals, no bra peeking through at the worst moment. It's listed over and over as one of the details that makes a sleeveless dress simply easier to wear, full stop, regardless of what your arms look like. Try this the next time you shop. Before you even check the size, lift your arm in the mirror. If it stays closed and clean, you've found a keeper. If it gaps, put it back. It's not you, it's the pattern. Which brings me to the third file, and this is the one that changed how I look at every sleeveless dress on the rack. The problem piece is the clingy knit. Soft, thin, stretchy, the kind of jersey that feels wonderful in your hand and then, worn, follows every single contour of your body like it's been shrink-wrapped on. Here's the actual science, because this is the anchor of the whole case. Textile research on fabric drape draws a clean line between two behaviors. Knitted fabrics are, and I'm quoting the language directly, relatively floppy, so garments made from them tend to follow the body's contours. Woven and stiffer fabrics do the opposite. They hang away from the body and disguise its contours. Read that again, because it's the single most useful sentence in this entire video. The cling isn't about your size, it's about the yarn structure. A soft knit collapses onto you. A crisp cotton, a linen blend, a good poplin, a pehne with real body to it. Those hold their own shape and skim past the arm instead of gripping it. Pehne gets singled out constantly for exactly this reason. It has enough backbone to skim rather than cling, and it holds that clean line from morning right through to evening without wilting. The swap is structure over softness. And I want to be careful here, because structure does not mean stiff or boxy or armor. It means fabric with enough integrity to float a half-inch off the skin. That half-inch is everything. That half-inch is the difference between a dress that reads the arm and a dress that glides right past it. Let me stop here for a second, because I'm genuinely curious about you. If you're watching this, I'd bet good money there's one specific dress in your closet right now. You bought it, you loved it, you've worn it maybe once, and it's been hanging there ever since because of the arm thing. Tell me in the comments what it is. The color, the fabric, why you stopped reaching for it. I read these and honestly, half the future files on this channel come straight from what you leave down there. So don't be shy, that dress deserves a second opinion. Now file 4. The problem piece is the busy straight across neckline that keeps everything happening at the same low altitude. When the neckline sits wide and flat, the eye has no reason to travel upward. It just drifts sideways, out toward the shoulders and arms, and settles there. The swap is a higher or collared neckline, and the reasoning is pure eye direction. Stylist writing for this exact audience put it plainly. A higher neckline draws the eye up toward the face and takes the focus off the arms. That's it. That's the whole trick. You're not hiding anything. You're giving the gaze somewhere better to land. Picture a crisp dress with a neckline that comes up a little higher, maybe a small collar, maybe a soft mock neck in a warm cream. The moment that detail exists, the top of the outfit becomes the event, your face becomes the destination, and the arms, unchanged, simply stop competing for the spotlight because the spotlight has already moved on. This is visual balance, and I'll keep saying that phrase because it's the philosophy underneath every file in this video. You guide the eye, you never hide the body. File 5 is about silhouette, and it's the one that feels the most generous once it clicks. The problem piece is the tight straight column dress that hugs from shoulder to hip. When a dress is fitted everywhere, there's no visual relief, nowhere for the eye to rest, and the whole upper body gets flattened into one continuous line of attention. The swap is the A-line, or the fit and flare, a shape that skims the waist and then releases, opening out toward the hem. Over 60 Style Guidance recommends this specifically because it draws attention away from the upper body and toward the overall shape, the movement, the sweep of the skirt as you walk. Something wonderful happens with an A-line. The dress creates its own drama down low, so the arms are no longer the most interesting thing in the frame. There's motion, there's a waist, there's a hem that moves when you do. And here's a subtle thing worth knowing. Avoid the tight-fitting sleeveless cut entirely if the arm is your worry, because a tight cut, per the stylists, draws more attention to the arms, not less. Loose and structured beats tight and clingy every time. Give the fabric room to do its job. Which leads straight into file 6, my personal favorite, because it's the one that costs nothing and rescues the dresses you already own. The problem piece is a bare sleeveless dress that you love but can't quite bring yourself to wear as is. The swap is not a new dress, it's a topper. But, and this matters enormously, the right topper, because the mistake most women make is reaching for something heavy, a chunky cardigan, a thick knit, and that just adds bulk and heat, and a shapeless lump over a dress you chose for its lines. The fix is lightweight and intentional. A sheer cardigan, an open linen shirt worn unbuttoned, a fine gauge cotton wrap, a chiffon layer, a bit of mesh or lace, a soft featherweight kimono in sage or dusty rose. Chiffon in particular earns its place here. It's described as lightweight and sheer with a soft drape and an airy structure, which is exactly what you want floating over a bare shoulder. It covers the arm without adding a single ounce of visual weight, and it moves with you instead of sitting there like a blanket. The whole point of these layers, according to the stylists who live in this space, is that they skim the arms without adding heat, and cover the arm while still letting the air move. You get coverage and polish in one gesture, and you get to keep the dress you already love. That's a good trade. File 7, and this is where the case fully comes together with the one thing I most want you to remember. The problem piece is the idea that the fix has to happen at the arm. The swap is understanding that the eye can be pulled somewhere else entirely, and you get to choose where. Color and line do the heavy lifting. Vertical seams, a strategic panel of darker color set beside a lighter one, a well-placed color block. These are leading lines, and they steer the gaze up and down instead of side to side. Now I want to be honest with you, because there's an old-fashioned myth I refuse to repeat as if it's gospel. The classic line is that vertical stripes always slim, and horizontal always widens. The research is messier than that. One study actually found that a woman was perceived as significantly larger in horizontal stripes than in vertical stripes or no stripes at all, so the horizontal warning has real support. But the broader science on line perception is genuinely more complicated than the tidy rule suggests, and I'd be lying if I told you a single stripe direction was a guaranteed fix. What holds up is the principle underneath it. Direction and contrast steer the eye, so use them on purpose. And then use the loudest tools you have, the ones that win every time. Bold earrings, a bright lip, a standout shoe, a beautiful bag, a defined waistline that anchors the whole silhouette. Give the eye something wonderful to land on, and it will happily land there. That's the one new thing I promised you at the top, and here it is stated plainly. You do not restyle your arms, you restyle the field of attention around them. The arms were never the problem to solve, so let's close the file. 7 fixes and not one of them asked you to change your body. Wider straps for a shoulder that reads finished. Higher, cleaner armholes that stay closed when you move. Structured fabric that skims instead of a soft knit that clings, because the yarn structure, not your size, decides how a dress hangs. A higher neckline that lifts the eye toward your face. An A-line that puts the drama down low and lets the skirt do the talking. Lightweight, intentional layers that cover without bulk or heat. And color, line, and a great pair of earrings to steer the gaze exactly where you want it. Go back to the very start of this video. The belief we opened with, that the sleeveless dress is off limits after a certain age, that the arms are the thing standing between you and the dress. You can let that one go now. The evidence doesn't support it. The dress was doing the wrong job, and now you know how to make it do the right one. Go find that dress you stopped wearing, pull it out, look at the armhole, feel the fabric, notice the strap, and decide on your own terms whether it stays or goes, not because of your arms, because you're the one holding the file now. This has been the Style Dossier. Keep your standards high and your closet honest, and I'll